Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this community briefing on COVID-19 and our local response efforts. Joining me again is interpreter Margie Prop. Thank you so much, Margie, for being here today, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. We want to remind everyone to please visit our website, covid19.lincoln.ne.gov, to learn how you can protect yourself, your loved ones, and our community during this pandemic. And at that site, you will also find more data about the cases and the testing that we are doing in Lincoln and Lancaster County at our online dashboard that we unveiled earlier this week. That dashboard is updated twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. To give you more details on the situation locally, we have had 7 new individuals testing positive with COVID-19 in Lincoln today. The total number of people in Lincoln with lab-confirmed cases now stands at 113. It's important to note that here in Nebraska, we have a regional approach to combat the virus. It was announced today that certain restrictions in Douglas and other counties are scheduled to be lifted in the coming week. Our directed health measures here in Lancaster County, which started later, are set to expire at a later date, and we're still in conversations with our local public health officials and the state about our plan for Lancaster County. One of the key metrics for easing restrictions that have been put in place by directed health measures, one of the key metrics is a declining number of daily cases. And what we are seeing now locally, however, are increasing numbers. Over the last 7 days in Lancaster County, we've had 50 people test positive with COVID-19. That means 44% of our total cases have been reported in the last week. Again, this is cause for concern, but it's not unexpected. We knew that with increased access to testing, that we would see a rise in the number of cases, in addition to the fact that this is a highly contagious pathogen. We are, of course, at a critical point of the pandemic here in Lincoln. We need everyone to continue to stay at home as much as possible, to wash your hands frequently, to keep 6 feet of physical distance between yourself and others, and of course, to seek medical attention if you develop symptoms of COVID-19, cough, shortness of breath. Now, to provide more details on our situation locally, we have our health director, Pat Lopez, who will provide some information and other data points that we are looking at daily as we assess the status of COVID-19 here in Lincoln.
Thank you, Mayor. Different communities have different capacities. So we have really been focusing on our local health data to guide our decisions. Nebraska now has 2,246 cases of COVID-19 and 47 deaths. With 113 positive cases and 1 death, we have relatively low numbers for the size of our community. But as the mayor said, we have seen a significant increase over the last week alone. And this is a big consideration as we go forward. Another big factor is the positivity rate that you can see on the web page below the locations of cases in the county. And if you look at this, you'll see that our numbers are going up, especially at the end of this week. As of today, the overall positivity rate for Lancaster County is about 3.8%. But if we look just at the positivity rate since last Sunday, April 19th, it's at 6.7%. That's the highest weekly average we've seen. The state rate is 12%, and the national rate has dropped a bit to 18.5%. A third factor is the hospitalizations for Lancaster County residents. The number has been relatively low for the size of Lincoln, another good sign. However, our local hospitals care for a large number of residents from outside our county, and that affects our overall capacity. Today, we have 4 Lancaster County residents hospitalized, and none of them are on a ventilator. But there are 26 patients hospitalized from outside of Lincoln, with 6 on a ventilator. We have to take this into consideration when we are making decisions. It is important to know that we continue to use data to guide our decisions and how we can best respond to the pandemic here in our Lincoln and Lancaster County area.
Thank you, Director Lopez. Testing, of course, continues to be a key tool in our fight against this pandemic. Increased testing enables us to isolate sick individuals, quarantine their close contacts, and thereby prevent further virus transmission. A total of 420 people have been tested at the drive-through sites from Monday through Thursday here in Lincoln. Again, thank you to everyone who has been participating in this major effort to increase testing in our community. However, that's just about 70% of the testing capacity that we have at these sites. We have more capacity available. If you have symptoms of COVID-19, the coughing, the fever, the shortness of breath, please take advantage of this opportunity and help be a part of the solution. The testing process is safe and easy, and it starts with an online risk assessment at chihealth.com or bryanhealth.com. At this crucial point in the pandemic here locally, we must assume that there is a risk of exposure to the virus any time that we are out in public, where there are other people present. So stay home and stay 6 feet away from other folks. Throughout this pandemic, much of our efforts as a community has been focused on protecting the most vulnerable among us. And we've continued to thank our residents and our businesses for taking major steps in order to protect our seniors and those with underlying health conditions, those who are most vulnerable to the virus. We've also recognized that the number of people in our community who are vulnerable economically is growing, which brings us to today's focus on food security. No one in our community should go hungry, and we have local systems in place to help those in need. Food security is a concern for some Lincoln residents in the best of times and has become even more of a concern for many during this pandemic. We know that the need for food in our community is growing as unemployment increases and our friends and neighbors face unprecedented economic challenges. We want everyone to know that there are resources available for those who are struggling. The city has been working with nonprofits for a number of years, supporting the work of over 30 of them in the current budget year, as they move individuals and families away from hunger and towards stability by providing them with emergency food resources. Many of these programs also move clients toward independence by linking them to the resources they need to ultimately become food secure and not rely on emergency food assistance. And that's done through case management and direct referrals to other community resources. As we confront the impacts of this pandemic on our residents' food security, the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department has adapted some of the important work that they do around food safety to the emerging needs of our nonprofit food providers. The Health Department is providing guidance on best practices to provide food to the public in a safe manner during the pandemic, as well as working this week to secure help from the National Guard for the Center for People in Need, with food packaging and distribution at the request of the center. Some of the organizations that currently form our food safety net are here with us today virtually to discuss the resources that they offer and the work that they are doing to support people in Lincoln every day, and their help has never been more needed than now. First, I'd like to introduce Scott Young, the Executive Director of the Food Bank in Lincoln. The Food Bank's work supports distribution sites and other nonprofits throughout the city. We are so grateful to the work that you do at the Food Bank, Scott, and we thank you for joining us today via Zoom. And with that, I'd love to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're grateful to you for this opportunity to speak to the community about what's going on in terms of food and the charitable food system in our town. And in the next couple of months, we anticipate a 20 to 25% need, and ultimately maybe over the next 6 months, a 35% increase in need. Research tells us there are 40,000 food insecure people in Lancaster County. If there's a 35% increase in need, that would take it up to over 54,000 people. So there's a lot of work to be done. The Lincoln Journal-Star reported record numbers of unemployment claims this week. On Thursday, it came out that there were over, I'm not finding it right now, 4,000 unemployment claims. for Lancaster County alone in the last 2-week period. So need is increasing at a pretty dramatic rate. The food bank is going to be serving more people than ever before as we go into the next months. We're going to be purchasing more food than ever before. Agencies like Tom Randa's Good Neighbors Center, the Center for People in Need, which the mayor mentioned, the People's City Mission Service Center, Matt Talbot, the Gathering Place, all of these places have food resources for people. We would encourage everyone who's watching this afternoon, if they are in need of food or know someone who is, to go to the Lincoln Food Bank website, www.lincolnfoodbank.org. You can find out where our latest mobile pantry offerings are. We've done 12 of those this week alone and served over 2,400 households. You can also get hooked up with agencies in town that are distributing food in a wide variety of ways. So the need is growing. The demand is growing. The resources are going down. If you'd like to help, we hope you'll help any of our charitable food system partners or the Food Bank of Lincoln at lincolnfoodbank.org. You can make a donation there. Dollars is what the food bank needs, and I think that's what a lot of the charities need right now. So that's the story, Your Honor, from the food bank. We are very grateful to you for this opportunity. We're also grateful to the Nebraska National Guard, who has been helping our distributions this week. It's onward and upward at the Food Bank of Lincoln and for all of our agencies.
Thank you so much for joining us to help describe the incredible work that you and your team are doing. And, your work is such a critical safety net for so many people here in Lincoln and beyond. We're really grateful for all you do to keep us strong now and ongoing. Next, we'd like to highlight the remarkable efforts of Lincoln Public Schools. They've played such a critical role ensuring that school lunches remain available even after the schools abruptly close their doors following spring break. This has been a colossal undertaking, and we'd like to welcome Edith Zumwalt, who is the Director of Nutrition Services at LPS. She'll speak more about what they are doing to keep Lincoln families from going hungry. And with that, I turn it over to you, Edith.
Thank you, Mary. Mayor, I am happy to be here today to talk about what Lincoln Public Schools Nutrition Services staff are doing. They've been busy today packing meals for students. Normally, these staff would be preparing school lunch and school breakfast, but since students are not in school, we are packing grab-and-go meals for them. We have packed each child 5 lunches and 5 breakfast meals to take home so they have food for the week. This helps them have the meals that they would have typically received in school. On Monday, we distribute the meals, and we do that from 11 to 12:30 on Mondays in 14 school sites. This past Monday, we distributed 52,000 meals in 14 school sites, and we added 2 sites of Goodrich and Leffler Middle Schools. This coming Monday, we are expecting to provide 55,000 meals to students. And any child between 1 to 18 is welcome to come and get meals. It is a drive-through distribution. People stay in their cars. We either pass the meals through the window or put it in their trunks. We have not only nutrition services staff helping with the distribution, but we also have other departments in the district of custodial, transportation, warehouse, business affairs, and even principals helping to greet the students and help them get the food. It's a team effort, and it's an amazing job everybody's doing. It's fast, it's efficient, it's safe because we keep our social distance. If families cannot drive up, they are certainly welcome to walk up, and we will provide them food to take home. And we are planning to continue to provide food through May 18th, and we are also researching what the need will be in the future over the summer and how we can assist others and provide food for the children, because we feel that is so important, because we know so many of the children relied on school meals during the school year to get their food source. And so we don't want them to go without it now at this critical time. The nutrition services staff have done an excellent job being willing to come in and work. They've done an amazing job packing the food, and they're always happy and greeting the children coming to get the food. So we are very pleased to be part of this and help out the community, and we hope we can continue to do so.
So much, Edith, and to all of your team at LPS. What an incredible adaptation that you've made to redeploy other folks on your staff to help with your monumental efforts to feed children in our community. Among the other key organizations who are doing the hard work every day to ensure that food gets into the hands of those in need is the Good Neighbor Community Center. We have the pleasure of hearing from the Good Neighbor Community Center Executive Director Tom Randa today. He'll talk a little bit about his team's food distribution efforts. And with that, I hand it over to you, Tom. Is Tom with us?
With you.
Oh, there you are. Welcome. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for the opportunity for letting me talk to you about the Good Neighbor Community Center and what we are doing regarding food security for our community. And for those who don't know, we are located on 26th and Y, basically next to Blue Stem Health. That kind of gives you an idea of where we are located in case you need to get food from us. And we are one of the distribution sites in Lincoln that works closely with Food Bank of Lincoln and the FoodNet sites as well as one of the FoodNet sites. So we have about 4 opportunities for you to come to us and get food. And the first opportunity is every Monday and every Wednesday, we get food from the food bank, mostly perishable food, and you are invited to come and get that from us. You don't need to make an appointment for that. Every day they deliver between 9 and 10. We sort out the food, and what you do is about 10 o'clock, you can come in and get that food from us. And then we also have a second program, which is our Shopper's Choice program. Unfortunately, because of the circumstances, we have had to change the way we do that. So we no longer have the opportunity for you to come into our building and pick out the foods that you need for your family. But instead, we are calling out, we're having you call our number, which is 402-477-4173. Call us, make an appointment, and we'll make a pre-made non-perishable food for you where you can just come and pick that from us. Another opportunity that we have is for those who are most vulnerable. We started this 3 weeks ago, and where you can just call us. If you're at most risk of catching COVID-19, we can deliver the food to you. If you feel like you need the perishable food that comes in every Monday and Wednesday, we can deliver that to you. And if you need a food pantry, we can also make arrangements for you to get that. We'll deliver it right outside your door. We won't even talk to you. We'll leave it outside your door. You can open the door and put that food in your house. And then the fourth opportunity is with FoodNet. Every Sunday at 3 o'clock, Allen Chapel has partnered with us. They have volunteers on our site, and food is available for you. You can come in, no appointments needed for that, and you should be able to get food. One of the challenges that we are facing, and many of the distribution sites, is of course volunteers. Since we can use the volunteers right now, we are down to just using staff members. So that's one I think that I wanted to point out. And another thing I want to say is that we are grateful for the health department. Pat and your team over there, you've been great to us, plus the Cultural Coalition. And what we've done is we've reached out to them. They have helped us out to make sure that we are protecting our staff members. We are able to protect those who are coming in with various needs. And we had training for our staff members and a wonderful delivery for all the Cultural Coalition centers yesterday with PPEs, which will be able to keep us all safe. So thank you for that. Again, if you need to get food from us, 26th and Y, and the phone number is 402-477-4173. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the incredible work that you and your staff are doing. And thank you to all our resource providers for helping to keep our residents fed. We see you, and we appreciate all the incredible lengths to which you are going to take care of the most vulnerable in our community. I know there are so many nonprofits in Lincoln acting as supports for our residents. If you or someone you know is food insecure, please access the resources available here in Lincoln. There is an app, the MyLink app, that's MYLNK, on both Apple and Android, with a full listing of food distribution sites and times. You can also find more information on services in our community at covid19.lincoln.ne.gov under the Resident Resources tab. If you're someone who's in a position to help support feeding others in our community, you can donate directly to one of the many nonprofits doing this important work. Or if you want to, you could make a donation to the Lincoln COVID-19 Response Fund, which is using money that it raises to give grants to local nonprofits. More information is available on the city website, which again is covid19.lincoln.ne.gov under the How to Help section. Next up, we have information for you about city operations. We have an update on StarTrans Pilot on-demand service. As we have moved bus service hours to a Saturday schedule, we have started our Van Link program to help those who need mobility options outside of the Saturday schedule. This service, as we announced last week, started this past Monday at 5:40 a.m. And as of 9 a.m. today, StarTran had completed a total of 309 rides, Monday through Thursday, using their new app. 36 of those rides were on demand, and 273 of them were handy van rides. Of the 36 on-demand rides, 11 of them, almost a third, were called for during those, they were outside our limited Saturday service hours, which basically means this is helping to fill a gap that we anticipated with our limited regular schedule. The number of on-demand rides has consistently increased over the past 4 days, with the highest being 12 on-demand rides yesterday. The current wait time from the moment someone requests a ride to when the van arrives is about 5 to 10 minutes, and people are enjoying the experience. When looking at the reviews on the app, they're giving us a 90% satisfaction rate. StarTran says it can easily accommodate more rides, so if you are someone who needs to travel, if you need to leave home for an essential item like groceries, or if you need a ride to work, you can download the app VanLink, VANLNK, for Apple or Android. We're going to turn now to some more good news in our community. As I mentioned the other day, Nebraska was one of the top 5 states in the nation in Paycheck Protection Program loans approved per capita. And some of our local community banks are now getting national recognition for the work they did in quickly adapting to the new program and responding to their clients' needs. Local bank staff were pulled from different departments to work on SBA loans, and many pulled all-nighters to get applications processed. And again, we just want to say a huge thank you to all of our local lending institutions and our community banks for their amazing hustle. Because of their hard work and dedication, they've put our community and our local businesses in a better position to weather this pandemic. Our first responders are continuing to do amazing work, and our businesses have been letting them know how much they are appreciated. While LPD, Lincoln Police Department, has received plants from Oak Creek and face coverings from So Creative, food seems to be the main gift of choice, and we're grateful for that. LPD and LFR have recently received treats from these businesses and groups: the A Street Market, Copal Mexican Restaurant, Costco, Da Vinci's, Domino's, El Potrero, Lamar's, Muchachos, Nutrition and Energy Hub, Runza, Target, Trinity Lutheran Church, The Warm Cookie, and The Watering Hole. Thank you to all of you for helping to support those who are keeping us safe during this time. And with that, I'd like to open it up for questions from the media.
Hello, Kent Walgamot from the Journal-Star.
Hi, Kent.
Couple questions about related to the state declaration, declaration today. First, will you be working in conjunction with the state on what goes forward with Lincoln, or will it be? Is that two separate processes?
We are in constant communication with the state, and we have a weekly call with the governor. So we will be working with them because, of course, we have local concerns and data that will help drive the decisions for Lancaster County. And I can bring Director Lopez up to talk more about that if you'd like.
Sure. Please.
As the mayor said, we do work very closely with the state and have weekly calls with them as well as daily calls with state staff, and are looking at what's going on across the state. But we're also looking at the number of cases we have in Lincoln and where that's at, and we're using those measures that I talked about, like our positivity rate and our case rate and our numbers of tests that are conducted in accordance with other things that are happening in the community. We use that in our conversations with the governor in making decisions about what's going to serve Lincoln and Lancaster County best.
Will those factors, I guess, could be different all the way across the state? So Lincoln conceivably could be much later than other parts of the state in opening up, or whatever you want to call it, or is that how this process will probably work?
Well, currently we have a health measure in place in Lincoln on May 6th. And across the state, several areas have different timeframes for their measures. And as the governor at his news conference today, he talked about certain areas of the state where he's implementing the measures he spoke of today. And that was based on the information about cases in those communities, testing available, and related all to that to move forward in those areas. Whereas in areas like Grand Island or Lexington, Hastings, and others, there's not going to be any change right now due to what's happening in the community. So both the governor and our local health departments are working in concert to really look at what's happening in that measure. And we consider what's happening on our healthcare system, but also the number of tests, as I said.
In the governor's announcement today, did he say that the religious services would be open with social distancing on May 4th statewide? Is that going to be the case in Lincoln as well?
We're right now reviewing that and seeing how that fits where we're at in our current situation with our caseload number, and we'll certainly have conversations about that.
Thanks.
Director Lopez, this is Bill Shammer with 1011. Going back to that last answer, are you saying that it's possible here in Lincoln churches would not open up on May 4th and that there would be some sort of different rule?
Well, our directed health measure is in place until May 6th. And so we would have to have further discussion related to that.
It was my understanding that the statewide DHM for churches applied to everybody, no matter the date of when their DHM expired.
I think, we're reviewing that. We became aware of that now, and I think we have to have further discussions. We have had discussions with the governor and his office about the increased number of cases that are occurring in our community and what that might mean for making changes at this time with opening areas up.
Do you think there's a potential that May 6th date could get pushed back as the projected peaks continue to get pushed back in Nebraska?
Honestly, Bill, I think we'll be in a better position to look at that as we go forward into the early beginning of next week. I think I mentioned yesterday that there's a lot of testing going on in the Crete area right now for some positive cases that started there in an area where many employees are. And so we're waiting for those test results to see, as well as over the weekend, how our case numbers go up. And that's really what's been driving our decisions all along, is looking at that availability of testing and where we are at with cases and how they're connected through our contact tracing.
One more follow-up, and maybe this is for the mayor. It sounds like you guys just learned maybe about some of the details of the DHM. Was there any direct contact with the governor's office about what is happening and how it relates to Lincoln?
I'm sure the mayor will weigh in on that, but I believe the mayor said, and I did, that we talk with the governor's office on a weekly basis. And he did let us know about the changes in the DHM, but some of the specific aspects we're still looking at and learning a little bit more about in the conversation. So I don't want anyone to think that there isn't communication going on with the governor's office. I don't know, Mayor, if you wanted to.
Are there other questions? All right.
Mayor, I have one. I have a question from Madison at 1011.
Okay.
It's about the video that the city recently worked with El Centro on to get information out on coronavirus in Spanish. She would like to know, what is the city doing to make sure speakers of all different languages are getting the information in a language that they can understand?
Well, thank you for that question, Madison. We want to make sure that we're protecting all of our residents in Lincoln and Lancaster County, and trying to find ways to reach folks in non-traditional ways or in ways that will be most impactful is paramount to our approach. And so we did have a really great communication with our cultural community leaders in Lincoln recently and offered them the opportunity to utilize city communications resources, our film crews, our folks, and to help film PSAs so that we could do those in different languages. And so we are so proud of the partnership we had with El Centro to do one that is in Spanish, and we've been pushing that out on our social media channels, and of course they have been on theirs as well. And then we are going to be doing that with other folks as well. Other cultural centers are working with us. Some of those are in progress, and we'll be pushing those out just as soon as they are done. We have also worked to try to make translation available on our website. For weeks now, we've had the ability for folks to look up some of the information that we're trying to make sure everyone hears about how to protect themselves and their families and our community, available in different languages. And we'll be working to get some of these briefings translated as well. Any other questions from the media? All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to our partners in the community who are helping to keep people fed and to keep people from going hungry. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3:30 with another update on COVID-19 and our local response, and we'll see you then.